Hey guys, I'm back. I'm Sarah from Sarah Season. I'm back here to do one last video before I call it quits for today, guys. So today I am doing I wanted to do one more video for today, and I decided that it would be nice to actually do a video about the Huntsman when Snow White and the Huntsman. And I will also be talking about not just the Snow White and the Huntsman movie, but also about the one with the second film, which is basically a prequel to the first film. So, Snow White and the Huntsman, why I chose this movie, because basically I was in a Disney mood and I was thinking, why not Snow White? Since I already once upon a time, I decided to do one about Snow White and the Huntsman. So basically, I'm gonna do this whole review about Someone's Husband. If you all want any movie, like if you all want me to do any movie of your choice, you have to comment below what kind of movie you want me to do, and I will try and do it my best, guys. Video game, movie, or even um any like live video games, I guess, like Life is Strange or Sims or something like that. I'll answer any questions you want. Okay? So let's get into the story of Snow White and the Huntsman. Now, this is a movie that's been on my radar for theories. I've done at least one video about Snow White, about the Huntsman Winter's War, and I gotta say that one was the highest on my agenda for movies and like watching stuff online. This movie was kind of a parody slash thing that you would think of Snow White from Once Upon a Time to like the whole Disney thing, but also because it just gives us a lot of insight on the whole thing and mostly a whole backstory to the evil queen and the huntsman and even Snow White's backstory, which we already know, which is a twist. Snow White and the Huntsman really had a really good reputation. I will not say anything bad about this movie. That's why when I did the Huntsman Winter's War theory video, I actually thought that one was not so bad, but it also had a lot of like conspiracy theories going around, and I thought that maybe I could do something like that. So I thought, why not do something like this? So let's get into Snow White and the Huntsman and see what kind of like we'll be talking about not just the movie, but the characters, the backstories, and even the twists and turns in the entire movie that you will see throughout maybe the beginning and the end of the film. So, yeah. And we'll even talk about the Huntsman Winter's War and like the twists and turns there as well, and maybe even the Huntsman's backstory. So, yeah, guys, let's get into this. We're already wasting too much time, so let's go. Okay, but yeah, guys, I chose Snow White and the Huntsman because I was in a Disney mood, so I decided why not? Why not the Huntsman Winter's War? I mean, the Snow White and the Huntsman. I'm sorry. I get those two mixed up. But yeah, Snow White and the Huntsman, let's get into this. So basically, the whole story starts off with, like, Snow White's backstory. And we all know how that began and ended with, if you've all seen Mirror Mirror, you all know Snow White's backstory. And basically, she's somewhat of like that Snow White mixed in with Once Upon a Time Snow White's mixed into one. But yeah, Snow White's backstory is her mother gave birth to her. She wished for a daughter who had hair black as night, lips red as the rose, skin white as snow. And when she gave birth to to her and the king's firstborn child, they named her Snow White. Snow White apparently grew up in a lovely kingdom and a lovely place. She had a wonderful, loving life. She was a beautiful young little girl, and as she grew up, her mother loved her with all the respect in the world. Apparently, in the movie, Snow White's mother, we do know her name. I think it's Queen Ariana, I think. Rebecca, probably. Renee, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, Snow White's life was a perfect life. She had a good childhood, and she loved her mom, her mother, and father very much. And one day, apparently, when she was playing with her friend, who was the Duke's son, William, um, her mother felt ill, and she knew that they cannot cure her. And after like their last few moments and the last few days of actual being together with each other, Snow White's mother died. And everyone says that in the story Snow White's mother died in childbirth or something like that. But apparently in this version she lived till like I guess Snow White was like 10 or 8, somewhat like that. So yeah, but really what happened is Snow White's father, out of grief and anger, literally led a charge against with his men to actually defeat something in the dark forest. He defeated the army, which was easy to kill apparently, and was actually just child's play for what was coming next. And what happened next was the king found a young girl named Ravenna in one of the carriages that was supposed to hold hostages, and betwixt by her beauty, he literally asked her to marry him, and she said yes. He literally was going to take her for a wife. And I, by the way, guys, love the outfits for Snow White and the Huntsman, by the way. The outfits are to die for in the movie, and I love that dress, but going to I'm still going to buy my dress. A dress that costs only $226, not something that's like movie made and literally is perfect for I just want to wear that dress. Maybe for a costume, you never know. I will look beautiful in medieval dresses. I'm pretty sure all of you all would love to wear these kind of dresses. I bet you all look beautiful in them. See? Positivity doesn't kill you. But back to the movie. Basically in the movie, if you didn't know, if any of you didn't watch Snow White and the Huntsman or you did, basically in the movie what happens is Ravenna ends up in Ravenna and Snow end up talking the day of the wedding, and literally, they get along very well. Apparently, Ravenna thinks that Snow White and her are connected in some way, and are literally, they just get along. She tries to be not. Ravenna is really nice to Snow White at first, and really, she shows a lot of compassion towards her, and literally, she said that she gets along with her because she lost her mother as well when she was her age. And literally, Ravenna and her are just like best friends, and literally, on the day of the wedding, everything turns perfectly. But then the wedding night turns into a very bad honeymoon for just the king, but Ravenna gets everything she wants. That day, Ravenna and the king get married, and that night, the honeymoon, Ravenna pretends to actually let the king do whatever he wants to her, and then tries and kills him with her magic that he didn't even know she had. And in the end, because he's so weak to even just move, Ravenna ends up killing the king and actually lets her real army in and ends up actually taking over the kingdom with her brother by her side. And Snow White, who when she's just a child, she's asleep and realizes something and hears something going on in the hallway. She ends up running out and actually finding out that her father finds her father killed in his bedroom, and then finds Ravenna and her guards about to chase her down. Snow White and her friends try to escape. She tries to escape on a horse, and many of the men are trying to pull her down because they're trying to imprison her. As long as they have the princess, they have leverage for whatever reason. I don't know. But yes, anyway, they almost Snow White and William and begs his father to return to get Snow White, but it's too late because they've already captured everyone else in the kingdom, everyone else who was in the castle that night, and everyone in the castle was in prison apparently, I guess. And apparently what happened is that Snow White, the horseman who helped Snow White to escape, was shot down with an arrow, and she was literally captured by Ravenna's brother. And William could not do anything to save her, so they all left. But we switch back to Ravenna, who actually is like slaying everyone in the castle, the servants, and literally imprisoning the servants and literally kicking them out of the castle. And literally, her guards bring in the magic mirror, and she literally screams at them to literally leave. And after that, she literally says, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is fairest of them all?" And literally, he asks, "Is there no end to your power?" Ravenna is really one of those characters that you just know is evil the minute that you see her. Not because of blonde hair or anything like that, but because she has one of those looks that just makes you want to have an evil laugh. that makes you think that she's evil. But yes, Ravenna actually, she took over the kingdom and has a lot of power over everyone. So really, in the end, Ravenna actually won and got everything she wanted. So basically, when she first came out, we see her have everyone in the castle slain, nearly almost everyone in the castle slain, and nearly everything goes to waste. And she has Snow White in prison in the North Tower for almost 7 years. So she had to be around 10 years old or 11. So yeah, Snow White was in prison. Everyone in the castle knew almost all of the king's men were slain, and most of the peasants were driven to madness and murder. Over the years, as Ravenna was a poisonous plague just waiting to happen across the entire kingdom. People were starving. Nobody was trusting each other, and literally, the riches and everything in the kingdom was literally just nothing but darkness. But as the years got older, Snow White herself grew in beauty and in grace, and sure she was imprisoned in the palace for almost 7 long years, but she also was in prison all that time for no reason, and she actually wanted to fight. She didn't have any courage at the time. She was just a naive little girl in a woman's body because she didn't grow up in she grew up in a castle, of course, but she didn't grow up in a palace with her father and her mother by her side. And of course, Ravenna didn't know anything about her until the day that she didn't care about Snow White at all, and she used many of the prisoners that she captured, the women from the village who were beautiful and kind and very graceful and mostly just beautiful, to keep her youth because her powers were wavering. When she finally realized this, apparently she found out that Snow White was she went to her magic mirror and asked how her power was wavering and why it was wavering her so bad and why it was so worse than it looked. Because basically, if you all didn't know, Snow White became so pure and so kind and so beautiful and had come of age. And soon, when she came of age, she was more fairer than Ravenna. And that's basically where the whole story goes. But also because Snow White's pure heart and her beauty had taken Ravenna away from her power. Taken away Ravenna's power. And because she can sense her nearby, that her power would never be the same. But the magic mirror said that Ravenna said that she should have killed Snow White when she was just a child, but she didn't. But thankfully the mirror says that killing her would not have done anything, and that it would have actually worsened everything, because the magic mirror tells Ravenna that she needs her heart. If she consumes Snow White's heart, she will be immortal and live forever. And basically, Ravenna tells her brother to go fetch the king's daughter, but as predicted, really, Snow White does escape after hearing what Ravenna's brother has to say about what Ravenna wants and how she wants her heart. Snow White uses a nail and escapes the prison and tries to help a friend out, but she tells her to leave. And Snow White escapes after being helped by some birds, literally gets to a horse, and runs into the dark forest, where she is literally trapped. Ravenna is frustrated after her brother is just very upset that her brother lost the girl, and finally she decides that she needs someone to track Snow White down and find her, but it isn't that easy for her. Thankfully, Ravenna's brother finds someone, and that is the Huntsman, or Chris Hemsworth, you want to call him whatever. But yeah, what happens is the Huntsman is not really willing to actually help anybody except himself, and we just see that the Huntsman's name is Eric. So Eric is not really willing to help anybody but himself. And the queen's offering him lots of gold, but he wants his wife back, whose name is Sarah. Her name is Sarah, and apparently we do find out that the Huntsman, Ravenna, promises that if she does this job and brings her Snow White, that she will bring back his wife. And as Snow White's being hunted down, well, yeah, let's just say that promises were broken. After Snow White is nearly captured by the Huntsman, literally the queen's brother, is Ravenna's brother, says that her sister can do many things, but cannot bring back the dead. And this triggers the Huntsman off and literally lets Snow White go and kills nearly all the men and literally well just can't find the Huntsman. The Huntsman eventually does find Snow White again, and they do help each other. They do help each other on the way along many adventures, including getting through the dark forest, defeating a troll, and literally seeing how good and pure she was. Sooner or later, the Huntsman wants to leave Snow White after finding out who she is, but is coming back after finding out the village that he left her at was being burned to the ground after literally being found out by Ravenna's brother and the men that he gathered, including William, the Duke's son, who was Snow White's best friend growing up as a child and had a huge crush on her and was in love with her all those years. So soon enough, the Huntsman and Snow White escape after helping out the villagers. And they do actually try to run. They are trying to get away from the Queen's men, but end up running up into the seven dwarfs, if you want to call them that. They end up running into the dwarfs from the movies, if you all didn't know that. But really, the dwarfs are not willing to help them at all, but actually are willing to help because of money and everything else. They say they're not working for the Queen, and they end up, after hearing the horses and ending up hearing what looks like Snow White and actually acts like her, they end up cutting her and the Huntsman down and getting them to Sanctuary, where they will be safe for a while. Of course, the Huntsman and the dwarfs do criticize Snow White about the king and like what happened and why the king let the monster or Ravenna the beast Ravenna into the kingdom herself. Because of the king, he's to blame for literally everything going wrong in the kingdom. But sooner or later, after realizing that Snow White may be the one to break the darkness, as in Ravenna, literally they don't believe her at first. But after wandering off into the forest for only a minute of a second, Snow White ends up running into, well, what do you know? I think it was a fawn deer, something like that. White stallion of a deer, and ends up bowing to it. Everyone else, all the dwarves and even the Huntsman, see this and realize that she's the one who is really the one destined to save all of them. And really, it's the best thing that ever happened. But unfortunately, they are attacked by the Queen's men and actually are nearly ambushed. They do escape and they do run. Snow White finally reunites herself with William and ends up actually feeling a little bit better. But they end up losing one of the dwarves, a friend who is named Gus. If y'all don't know, he's redhead and all that stuff. So what ends up happening is really sad when you see it. Then they start traveling across the roads and resting at one place. And after William says he's sorry for everything that happened, Snow just shrugs it off as nothing. They were just kids. There's nothing they could have done. There's nothing he could have done. So after what feels like an eternity of walking, Snow ends up talking with William again, but it ends and actually thinks that she's talking to William, and well, they end up in a little love quarrel and talking about their past. And what you think seems like a little bit of a really, really touching scene, and from what we can see, Snow does kiss William and does love him. And actually, what happened at the beginning of the film when William steals takes an apple from the tree and tries to give it to Snow White, but then takes it away and steals it back from him. And then Snow finally takes her revenge by actually doing what she does now in the movie by taking the apple and biting into it herself. But what happens is the apple turns into a poisonous apple, and she starts choking on the apple core that she's basically swallowed. And it turns out William turned in was actually Ravenna in disguise. And when since Snow White is at her weakest and she cannot move, Ravenna tries to take her chance and actually kill Snow White and take her heart. And literally says that she will never know what it feels like to grow old. But after what seems like a minute of Snow disappearing, the Huntsman and William both wake up to find Snow White missing, and literally go after her footsteps and find Ravenna about to stab Snow White. And they stop Ravenna from attacking Snow, and literally she just flies back to her palace, and Snow ends up falling into a death-like sleep. Well, actually, it's not actually a death-like sleep, it's actually a real-life death. And Snow White is on the verge of dying and then actually dies. So the Huntsman and William end up carrying her back to the palace, back to the Duke's castle, and actually lay her in a nice looking outfit, which she actually wears. Which she actually looks very nice in. I don't have a picture of that, but I really would love that dress. But still, guys, anyway, what ends up happening is really, really amazing, and this is the big twist on the entire story that I think that you all wouldn't find out. What happened back in the forest when Snow White was dead, or so you all think, is that the poison apple that Snow ate, True Love's Kiss, was supposed to save her. It turns out that when William kissed her, nothing happened. But yet, when the Huntsman is telling a dead Snow White about his past, about what happened with him and Sarah, it's really unclear as to what we're trying to figure out. And as much as we want to know about the Huntsman's past, like seriously, his past with this woman named Sarah is really interesting. But also because the Huntsman is very unhappy that Snow is gone and that she will be a queen in heaven. And after literally what feels like forever, and literally saying his last goodbyes to Snow, he plants his lips on Snow's, which literally wakes her up. And after literally a whole wake up call, after being kissed on the lips, Snow wakes up and gives a pep talk to her men. And after that, William persuades his father, after when he thinks Snow is dead, that we should die in her honor. She died fighting for our cause. But even then, his father thinks that they will not fight for this cause because it's not right. But after Snow wakes up, she tells the Duke that they will fight. They have rested no more, and that she should rest. But they have rested for too long, and that they need to start fighting. And that William is right when it means that they should just start when they need to fight. And after a large pep talk given to the men who will fight tomorrow, she gave them her word they would win this battle. And after this, Snow White and her men literally gather, and the rest of the people who are staying behind, they all go to fight Ravenna. And finally, after reaching the gate, they literally have a established plan. The dwarves sneak into the palace and try to disable the gate. They try to lift the gate with their strength. And after fighting the guards literally realize what's going on, and they start to fight them, and they literally close the gates, and people are literally getting massacred in front of the gates. And what they think they need to retreat, Snow White refuses, as she said she gave them her word. And after seeing this, the dwarves literally jump on what's left of the rope and literally pull the gate up. And with the rest of their men, Snow White and her men literally attack Ravenna's men, and they hold off the forces for them. But Snow White wants to go for Ravenna. So she goes up to where Ravenna is in her little chamber and goes to fight her and face her. And finally, after killing a few men, the Huntsman, Eric, and William go after Snow White, including some of the men. And Snow tries to actually sneak up on Ravenna and kill her. but soon after literally shards fall from the ceiling, Ravenna uses those as little shards of what he turned into soldiers, and literally they start killing off the men one by one until a few men and William and Eric are left. And so they're left fighting while Snow and Ravenna fight against each other. Ravenna is very calm with this, and she's not very frustrated or anything like that. And if you all know this, Ravenna is not, she's trying to kill Snow at the same time being very calm, letting her come to her. So really what ends up happening is that what ends up actually happening is that Ravenna finally fights back and then tries to break Snow and literally break her arm, and literally says that she cannot fight, and then she cannot fight her, and makes her almost watch nearly everyone she cares about, all the men that she persuaded, and even the love of her life, and the people that she cared about, literally die, watch before her eyes. But she refuses to, and literally almost beats Ravenna, but Ravenna beats her to the ground. And she literally walks through fire, and what seems like she's going to burn up, she literally gains her youth again. And after what almost seemed like forever, Snow White ends up stabbing Ravenna and literally killing her, because the pure of heart can kill, because Ravenna's mother once said to her that only pure of heart can stop this curse, can only end what she had, what all the magic that she had been given with since she was a little girl. And apparently Ravenna chose power over men, because men took her away from her mother and killed her mother probably. And because of this, because of Snow, when Snow stabbed Ravenna, which the Huntsman actually taught her that trick, and taught her the knife trick of like making sure you have another knife to stab your enemies, and she looks them in the eye, which she said at the beginning of the film she could not do, but she did it anyway. After Ravenna's near death, Snow White tells her one last thing, that she cannot have her heart, and Ravenna turns into the old woman that she should have been for a very long time. And we don't know this, but Ravenna is actually dead. And Snow White looks in the mirror, and after probably a few days of restoring the kingdom, after Ravenna's been vanquished, Snow White finally takes her place on her father's throne as queen of her kingdom. And after a while, peace is seen throughout the kingdom, and she is now ruler of the kingdom of whatever kingdom she's from. I don't know. They never really say the kingdom's name. But yes, and her father's flag waves again. And you all think that was the end of the Snow White and the Huntsman story. Well, yeah, no. No. That was not the end of the story, because if you all do remember, in 2016, Snow White and the Huntsman was the biggest thing ever. But the prequel to this movie, you're probably wondering some questions. What happened with the Huntsman? Where is Snow White now? What about the Huntsman's backstory? Who is Sarah? Well, guess what? Diddly do. The Huntsman Winners War. Which was, technically, it's not a sequel, it's a prequel to the beginning of the Snow White and Huntsman series, but ends up becoming a little bit of a sequel throughout the rest of the film. The first part of the movie is a prequel to the backstory of Ravenna and Freya and the Huntsman's life before he became known as the Huntsman, and how he actually got to be so angry at the world and upset over losing his wife Sarah. We end up finding this out because basically this little prequel / sequel is really a really good movie, and it says a lot about the Huntsman's backstory. From basically, I've explained this in a theory video, I think, and I won't explain much of this part of the video, but basically Freya lost her baby and she became known as the Ice Queen, and not the Snow Queen, Ice Queen, and literally stole children from their villages and raised them into armies. little Huntsman. And literally, Eric and Sarah were two of those children who were stolen from the first village Freya stole from, and literally used them and basically made them fight her wars for her instead of having her army and her men fight for him. Technically, Freya could have taken down a whole army. She didn't even need Huntsman. But yes, Sarah and Eric were two of these little kids who were taken from their homes and literally were basically made into huntsmen. And if you don't know, Eric and Sarah ended up falling in love, and then Eric thought Sarah was dead, and so he was basically just thrown into the river. And hold on, you guys. Yes, Mom. I'll do the video. I thought you was done. I'm sorry. I was just making sure, checking to see if you cooked your food. Not yet, Mom. I will. In a minute. All right. Well, I'll talk to you later. Well, I'm going to bed. Okay. Good night, Mom. All right. Be careful. Okay. All right. Bye. Sorry, guys. Anyway, I don't know how to edit that out, but I will just tell you guys one thing that basically just talking about the Huntsman and the Winter's War. But yeah, guys, really the Huntsman Winter's War is just like a part of it's like a prequel, and basically we found out that Sarah just hates Eric for leaving her behind for several years. And yeah, but they do reunite and do actually defeat Freya and the resurrected Ravenna. And yeah, but they ended up defeating them, and really they end up in a happy like way. So yeah, guys, that's all I have to talk about, which is for Snow White and the Huntsman. I'm gonna go now. I'm tired, really, guys. But yeah, that's just a theory, guys. And I really love these posters and these like good things. But hey, guys, it's just a movie theory, and yes, no, I'm not kidding, Snow White, and I will never be. But yeah, guys, I hope that you all loved this video. If you did, like and subscribe to my channel, and if you all, whatever movies you all want me to do or you want to see me do for my movie theories channel, my movie theories part of my channel, or any theory videos that you want me to do, I will just tell me what you want in the comment section below, and I will talk to you all later, and I will see you all tomorrow. So I hope you all enjoy these first two videos, and I will see you all later. Bye, guys.